Okay, let's just wait for others to join so that we can continue. There's no lecture this evening, so we can have a little time to rest and probably do some of our assignments.
Can I ask a question?
What did you say? Promise. Were you saying something?
What's the difference between class and ID?
Please, can you do me a favor? Can you type what you are asking? Can you type it? Is it possible? Because I can't hear you. I don't know if others can hear you, but I can't. So.
He asked what is the difference between an ID and a class?
And a class, okay. Thank you very much for that question. What is the difference between an ID and a class? An ID, right? It's an attribute which you use to identify a tag. Just like you have your, let's say you're a student, you have a matriculation number or maybe a student number, or if you are in Sweden, you have what they call your personnel number or personnel number, whatever they call it. Okay, so it uniquely identifies you. Okay, but in CSS, that's as far as tags are concerned. But in CSS, we use the hash keyword to indicate an ID. We call it the ID selector, right? So whenever you see in CSS, let's go back to that page. Whenever you see, you are looking at a style sheet or CSS, and you see hash starting a word, it means that this is an ID. This is an ID selector. And you can only apply it to the corresponding tag ID on your page. Okay? You cannot apply it to more than one tag on a page. On another page, you can apply it to another tag having that same name. But on this, your current page or your current page, you cannot have more than one. So that is what an ID is. So you define it this way and put the properties and values and put them inside, right? So whenever anybody wants to use it, the tag or the ID name must be in a tag somewhere for them to use it like this, okay? So this is ID selector for CSS, and this ID here, right here, is an attribute for this tag. So don't get it confused. This ID right here is an attribute, but this name is the ID selector in a CSS or a style sheet, which you look for it and you'll see that it starts with what? A hash or an hash character, okay? So that is ID. But for a class starts with a dot hash, right? Then you put any name you like. Remember our naming convention, please, there must not be space in between your name. Like if you are naming like all space black, this will not work. Okay, so you can use any name, either you want to use capital letter, but remember I taught us that always use lowercase in HTML for your tags and for some of your CSS. Always use lowercase, okay? So a class starts with a dot, okay? And then you apply all your properties inside it too. But any element on your page or on another page in your website, anywhere from beginning to the end, can use it. How do they use it? All they have to do is to include an attribute called class. Okay, so instead of for ID where you need to use the attribute called ID, for classes you need to use an attribute called class, and you put the name of that class that you have in your CSS in front of it as the property or as the value, sorry. Okay, so but remember, when we're using the ID, I did not put hash here in my code when naming it. Remember, I did not put the hash. So also for the class, you don't need to put the dots here. The dots and the hash, they all reside in your CSS. That is very important. If you make that mistake, you might be there trying to find out what is the problem, looking at your site, looking at your code, and it might take a while. So that's why you see some developers, they'll be wasting much time developing something just because they get stuck somewhere. And sometimes they need a mentor or maybe their colleagues or their friends to just look at their code and say, but you are doing this wrong. And, oh, I forgot. Just like I've made some mistakes here too. Okay, I think there's a message in the chat. Okay, I have a question later on HTML. Okay, yeah, let's just finish this so that we can go to, because this is our last section. We have overshoot our time. This is 12:49. We're supposed to end by 12. But I think I'm enjoying this class, and if you guys are enjoying it, we can be here. Not forever, anyway. Okay, can we go on?
Sorry, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can I quickly ask a question?
Yes, you can.
I'm just trying to, wrap my head around one thing. We're talking about class and IDs. Which of them are global? Are they just restricted to the page we are developing, or they are global to the entire website? Or should we repeat these class definitions on every page?
Okay, so that question is going to be answered through an external CSS, which I'm about going into now. Okay, but to quickly give you an insight, class can be used globally. Like I said, you can use it in any page. Okay, but where you define it is the problem. So if you define like this in this place on the head of page 1, and you now go to page 2 and you are calling it, it will not work. Okay, but if I define it in my external CSS, and I link my external CSS the way I want to teach us now, I can call it anywhere. Okay, so classes are global, or it's global. Okay, but ID, you can have it in the external CSS and use it for a tag on this page, it will work. In as much as it is only that element or that tag that's using it on that page, it will work. If you get to another page and you call that same external CSS and have another ID that has that name, it will still work. Do you understand? But only one element can have it on a page. So that's the difference. Okay. So let's quickly go back to.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
The other thing that I wanted to know is level of preference. For example, inline and the
yes, I have it in my and this one's embedded and the rest, like this one. Right? Yes. The level of
level of priority of execution.
Yeah, go on.
What is the level of priority of execution? Does one override? Which one overrides the other?
Okay, I would answer it.
Is it the in?
I can't hear you again.
Okay. I just need. I was asking which one of them takes priority. Which one overrides the other? Okay.
So thank you very much for the question. I have it documented somewhere, but I think I took it out of this slide. Okay. So, but from what I've seen, inline overrides all of them. Inline, because when you use something inline, even if you have defined something in a class, the inline one will take effect more. Do you understand? But we'll talk about it once we are done with external. Okay. So I will extract the text out and give it to you. Okay. So, so like I said, cascading order, the inline, the internal, and the external. Okay, so it's just like what you asked. It's like that. Inline overrides all of them. So if you have defined something in a class, you apply a class, and also now apply inline in that same tag, then everything in the class will not be considered. The inline one will override. There may be probably other things that are not in the inline, like the way we saw when we tested that selector and the class together on the tag. It will now take place just like that. Okay, so let's quickly go to our external because this will be our last session and we have less than 30 minutes. Okay, so for external, all you have to do is, you remember I created, sorry, let's go back to our phone. I created a CSS notepad. This is it. I've written it here. The name is very important, .css. Okay, so you put all this, I copied out all the CSS from this page. I copied it out there. So the next thing I need to do is to now, how do I now reference this CSS? You need to reference it in the header of your page or in the head. I'm confusing these things. In the head of your page with the what? The link attribute. Just like what I have in my, what's it called? In this PowerPoint. You reference it with the what? The link attribute. That's why we put it under the external. So the link attribute has some properties. One of them is rel, the other one is type, and the href. The href is, we know what href means. So hyperlink reference. So it's linking to where we store the path to where the CSS is saved. Okay. Then the rel is just telling us that, okay, this is a style sheet, because the link element can link, we can link so many things to your page, right? Not just a style sheet. But the rel is telling us that, okay, it is a style sheet. And the type is telling us that, okay, this style sheet, we have text/CSS, not text/JavaScript, not text/other things, but just text. So the type is text/CSS. So some of these attributes are not compulsory if you put them, but the href definitely is compulsory because for href you need to have the link to the page. Okay, so quickly, because we have that, let's see how to apply this. So we have the link. Remember, the link too doesn't have a closing whatever like this. Okay, so we said we have the rel. Now we should call style sheet. We have the what? The type. We call it text/CSS. And we have the href. This is the most important thing. So where is this guy stored? Okay. I'm not going to apply it now. I want us to look at this page. Let's open this page and see how it will display with external CSS. So this page now, this is our page. The CSS, all the CSS are not being referenced right now because it's not inside it yet. Okay. So, but when I link it up, let's see.
Sorry, sir, you've not shared the page. You're not sharing the page, sir.
Oh, so sorry. So sorry. Thank you for always reminding me. Okay, so I said I decided to browse this page. This is my sample with external CSS page. I'm browsing it. That's what we are seeing here. So it has no CSS at all. It's just our default headings and everything. Okay. So, but now I need to put the path from where it's going to see the external CSS. So let's say I just put external. You have to get the name of the file. I put external CSS. Save and refresh. Can you see? Immediately, all the styles that we've defined in this external CSS, let's open it, will take effect immediately. So now this is a way of decoupling or separating concerns. So you have your CSS file somewhere, you have your HTML tags on the page, and then you can have your JavaScript in another file too. When we get to JavaScript, we'll explain that. Okay, so this is external CSS. All you have to do is to remember this this link and put it. So sometimes it might not work like this. You might apply it the way I've applied it. Remember, the extension is very important. If you don't put the extension .css, it will not work. Can you see? The extension is very important, and the path to where the CSS is also very important. This is working now because they are all in the same, what's it called? They're all in the same folder, okay, of the project. Let's try and see it now that it's working. Okay, so I will now go to the part where the folder is stored, where the file is stored. This is the part. This is the main, because if you open it, you can open it in Notepad. Can you see? This is your external CSS. So you can have, so people can write millions of code or thousands of code in CSS file. Okay, and most of the time it's usually disturbing because you have to go through it. When we get to Bootstrap, you will understand more. Have you heard about Bootstrap? Because with Bootstrap, you don't have to, this Bootstrap shows, so I'm going to Bootstrap itself. Let us look for it's from here too, we can get it just using Bootstrap. Let's click on Bootstrap. That's going to give us. Okay, I think this is their template now. Okay, so no, not this one. I want Bootstrap. Google. Okay, let's go to Google. It's been a while I used Bootstrap, but let's see. Let's type Bootstrap. Okay, get bootstrap.com. This is what I'm looking for. So this site allows you to download what's it called? Bootstrap. Bootstrap contains CSS and JavaScript, and the JavaScript is what we call jQuery. Okay, so I will explain that later. But in the Bootstrap, we have our CSS. Okay, so where do I get it? If I want to download it, I don't want to download it. Okay, so now what I'm trying to do is that I want to show us the CSS so that we can still see the link rel in case you want to see it online. So I want to show us the CSS. See the CSS file, and let me copy this whole part and put it on the web browser so that we can see what I'm talking about. Let's remove this stuff. Okay, this is, can we see my screen? This is CSS. See how plenty it is. So just imagine it's one person that will sit down and be writing this. Okay, it might look scattered like this, but when you put it, when you download it, you can format it so that it shows exactly the way we have ours here, right? So that you can understand it. But this is what we are talking about. A lot of CSS. One, the goal of this lecture is for you to be able to see this kind of CSS and understand what the codes look like. You can see we can have a lot of dots. You see a lot of hash. You see a lot of this and that. So you should be able to understand when you see a CSS. Okay. And the benefit of Bootstrap is you don't need to go and write all these CSS yourself. They've written a lot for you. So no matter what you want to do, there's a path that you need from here. So all you just need to do is to reference this guy in your project and you are good to go. But that's not the main lecture for today. So I just wanted to show you that CSS can be up to like thousands of lines of codes that you need to write. But the ability as a programmer or as a web designer or a web developer to be able to understand these codes or these styles is very important. Okay, so let's go back to our page. And we have this. This is done. We have the next thing we want to do. So the next thing is what is this? Okay, this style. So I wanted to copy the part. I remember now. Let's copy this part directly. So, and to show us that it will still work. Because when you try yours and you do it like this, it doesn't work. So you don't say, but I did it like that and it worked. So I can do mine like this. Slash, I have to put this end slash. Yes. So let's see whether my page will still work. Yes, it's still working. So, but if I miss a part, let's say I remove this guy and save it and refresh, then it doesn't work. Then I run into trouble and start saying, oh, but it worked and all that, you know. So you must make sure that your part is exactly correct. See the way I copied the part where it was. I went to this Explorer. For you, those of you using Windows, just copy that part out, and that is it. Okay, so this is where we are going to stop for external or for CSS right now. So right now, let's quickly talk about tables before we go on. Is that okay? So does anybody have a question here? And someone that asked about the order and what's it called? The order of arrangement. Okay. So, like I said, internal is most important. External followed by embedded and then external. Okay. Because no matter what I define in this external, if I also have some, let me copy something from here. If I copy out this H whatever, I believe you can still see my screen. If I copy out this and still put it in the head, and I put this. Okay, so I put this into it. So if I change this to, remember, let's look at our page first. Let's look at it. Not even showing. Okay, I didn't return this. Let me remove all the parts. Okay, I'm trying to return this. Let's remove this first. Let's make sure our site is okay. Okay, you can see I have my header like this. Okay, my H3. So let's say this is coming from the external. And I come into the internal and decide to make the color, instead of green, decide to make it black. Okay. So let's see which one would overwrite each other. Is it going to still remain green from the external, or is it going to change it to black? Can we see? Do we understand? So now what happened is that I defined, remember in our external, which is this, for H3, we've already defined it as green. But meanwhile, I now come into my page in the header, which is the embedded. I now define the color as black. So this one overrode what was in the external, which is fine and perfect. But if I now go further into it and decide to add another style inside the H3, which one are we using? Where is this one? This section heading 2. Section heading 2. Okay, this H3, and I say style. Because
for me.
Color purple. Okay, so now I've gone ahead. Remember, in the external, I have the color as green. In the internal, I have it as black. Then in the inline, I'm turning it to purple. Let's see which one would now show on the page. Can we see it's called purple color now? So this one answers the question of which one takes priority. Is it the external, is it the internal, or the inline? So like I said, it's the inline that takes the highest priority, followed by the internal, and then followed by the external. Any questions so far? I think we are tired already. Should we stop here?
I have a question from HTML5 that
Yes, let's go back.
ask.
Yes.
Okay. It's just a simple question because when we were designing the form
Okay.
and how to manipulate the form, we didn't talk about how to store information from clients or how to manipulate information that we will receive from the form later. How do we store it in our website?
Okay, so for HTML, it's pretty straightforward. We create forms, right? And I said that based on the forms, we have an action tag. Where's the action tag? Let's go back to where's the project with the form, first web page. Yes, we have when we create a form, yes, the action. Okay. So now, depending on what you want to do, let's say it's the registration page. Okay, so when people fill the form, you want to see the information somewhere. Okay, so this action is usually, most of the time, a server-side event. Okay, so now put a URL where this information is going to go. So you need a server-side scripting language or a JavaScript to help you collect whatever the person has inputted and display it somewhere. Either you want to go and dump it in your database, or you want to save it to an Excel file, or you even want to show the user and say, hey, see the information you have provided for me. Are you sure this is okay? Then continue if it's okay. If not, go back. Do you understand? So JavaScript can do that for you. Your backend programming languages, Python, Java, and the rest, they can do that for you. So, but you need to specify that or where you want it to call, or maybe it's an API here in the action, and then you need to specify which method the API is waiting for, whether it's a post or it's a get. So most of the time it's a post when it comes to a form. Anyway, okay. So that is it. So, but we are not handling that part now. Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Maybe when we get to JavaScript, we'll do a simple. You remember one project I opened the other time where I talked about grading points, where yes, you can see when you click on submit, it calculates everything and then show in another text box. It shows you the grade point for the user. Okay, that was done by jQuery and JavaScript. Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, I think maybe we should stop here and note where we stopped. And that means we are not doing this assignment right now. So I put it back to you as an assignment. Based on what you have learned about aside, sections, forms, and what's it called? Images and the rest. Do you think you can lay out this page the way it is? Okay. So let's give that a try. Yeah, let's try that.
Please, I have a question. Actually, so the first one is the jQuery and JavaScript. Is it that there are two different like a programming language, or they're still the same thing?
Okay. Now, if you attended the Python class yesterday, the teacher made us to understand the difference. Okay. So when we talk about JavaScript was intentionally built as a front-end scripting language. Okay, let me tell you what that means. You see, when you are on your browser like this, everything I'm doing, if I wrote any code here and anything, it is this browser that is giving me the results, the browser on my system. Okay, so for example, where is that our website? This website. Can you see it now? So this page or this website, remember when we talk about URL and the protocols? This guy is hosted on a server somewhere in China right now as I'm speaking to you. Okay, so not in China, I think it's in the UK. Sorry, China, their policy is something else. Okay, so this is hosted, I think, in the UK. And now, every time I log in from my own client, where's the picture? I showed us one in our prerequisite. Maybe you can check other videos. Every time we log in and we are doing something on this page, all the information is going to UK server and coming back to me immediately. Do you understand? That is what is happening, right? If I should click on this button, and say this. Probably I want to create a new user. And let's say I want to create a new company. And I'll say create company. Okay. And I start filling the form, right? So when I click on submit, submitting means that, okay, I need to be fast now. Submitting means that it will send the information to UK server. UK server will respond to me and bring me back to the page where I can now see the list of all the companies that have been registered. Do you understand now? So now Java, this has nothing to do with JavaScript. But JavaScript is now, we now brought Java and say, okay, this processing, every of the event is going to this server and it's coming back. So that means that server in UK is doing a lot of work. Imagine 1 billion people using this application. So that server is servicing a lot of people, okay? So, but we now said, okay, let's try and do some things. Let's try and say that if this person should log on with Pentium 1 system, you log on with Pentium 2 system. Let this, their individual system, process the event and not come to our server. Do you understand? So we can now use different 1 million people's processor to process the event instead of using that our server processor to process the event. So meaning that your local system now is the one now doing all the calculations, and then when it's done, it's just save into the server. So instead of calling the server multiple times, JavaScript will help you to do all these things in the browser, and then at the end of the day, probably just give you the information fast enough. Do you understand? So that's how JavaScript became into use. And people now realize that with JavaScript, you don't need to be doing a lot of things at the back end. Just do it and the browser will do it for you. So when you load a page that is built with JavaScript, it loads faster than a page that is built with all these back-end languages. Do you understand? So JavaScript was meant to be a scripting language that runs only on browser. It runs only on the browser, right? But with time, we now realize that JavaScript being used for front end, we can now use it to even do some back-end work. Do you understand? So we now said, okay, so what are the versions of JavaScript you can create? People now started creating jQuery. They created React. They created Angular. So they are all JavaScript, but we call them JavaScript framework. So when somebody is talking about front end, you must know CSS, HTML, and JavaScript, okay? So, but when we say you know JavaScript, you can know the rudiment of JavaScript like me, or you know a framework, or more than one framework. You can know jQuery, you can know Angular, you can know React, which is very popular in the world today. So those React, jQuery, and whatever, they now do more than just working on your system. They can talk to the server at the back end faster than the normal way that normal Java or Python would do. Do you understand? So they are very fast and very lightweight and very efficient. And that's why you see that most people are using them today. So the basic difference between JavaScript and jQuery, let me go back to your question, is that jQuery is a framework in JavaScript. So jQuery is still JavaScript, but somebody like me decided to say, okay, JavaScript is too plenty. I just want to bring out, maybe from, instead of having JavaScript from A to Z, I want to bring out B to D only out of JavaScript and call it jQuery. And then from that B to D, I'll now be updating a lot of information on it. I'll be making it big and big so that it can be powerful. That is what somebody did. And they created jQuery. And people now realize that, oh, I don't need to go and use the whole of the functions of JavaScript. I can just use jQuery and it will do what I want. So people started using jQuery. Just like React now. I think React was started based on Facebook when they created Facebook and all that. And these people see that, oh, it's like Facebook needs to be lighter so that 1 million billions of people that are logging onto it, they can log in faster, they can operate faster and everything happening on your individual system or on your phone. So they created React. And so React is what Facebook uses. And so other frameworks that people are creating, but everything still boils down to what? JavaScript. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the second question goes thus. The assignment.
Yes.
So we should be the ones to do it. Agreed. But are we to do it with both? Okay. Both.
I'll take a screenshot. I'll take a screenshot.
Yeah, yes. I've done that before. So are we to design it with both HTML and CSS or just basic HTML?
As at the time I gave it out, I've not taught CSS. So,
Okay.
but now I've taught CSS. So if you can use both CSS, just make sure you achieve this, because I can achieve it with ordinary HTML and be using my inline CSS, because I think I mentioned some of it that time when we were talking about border and the rest. Okay, or you use CSS and HTML, but don't use JavaScript. So just
Sure.
find out other things that you can use to make it beautiful. Okay.
All right, sir. Thanks.
I will so much appreciate if we can do this, and tomorrow morning. So I have a question. How many of us are attending Java? Because I'm thinking maybe we should do complete this part with JavaScript instead of doing Java tomorrow morning. Or do we prefer we should do Java than this? Just an alternative for tomorrow morning, so that I can inform the instructor.
Better for me. JavaScript is fine.
If you can inform the instructor so that they shift, because
Okay.
I thought that our constraint was the time availability of the
Yes,
instructors.
of the instructor,
That's why
yes.
they gave it. So
Yes.
if they can be available at another day and time, then it would be more pleasurable to continue with JavaScript tomorrow.
Okay, I will talk to the instructor before evening. I will send a mail out and we will get the new schedule based on the availability of the instructor. But if the instructor is going to be available tomorrow morning, so that means we will have Java programming language. This is the backend programming language. And if we are still interested, because me, I'm always available, I can host my class on Saturday, but we're not supposed to have any classes on Saturday, just to be Monday to Friday, Monday to Friday. So, but if not, then next week we'll continue. But for next week, there's something that will be taught.
How about the evening of tomorrow?
Evening of tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. Evening of tomorrow, we are having Python. Python is always evening. I sent out a mail. Wednesday,
Okay, yes,
Friday.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. Python is always evening.
Sorry.
Okay.
So but I guess the weekend would be more preferable if you can consider it. But I don't know about the other guys.
Yeah, for my own class, I can consider it. I'll just find 1-2 hours, but it has to be my time. So if you guys must be ready to work with my time.
Sure, sir. Sure,
Okay.
sir.
So we can, because on Monday we want to start Node.js, and it's like I said, it's just something extracted out of JavaScript too, and it works like Python, and it's like a backend programming extracted out of JavaScript. So it's a framework of JavaScript, Node.js. And so you must have an idea of JavaScript before you go to that course. That's why I'm trying to, maybe weekend I can take my class. So at least we have an idea of JavaScript before we go to the course. As for those that are interested, it's not compulsory for everyone. Maybe if we can have 3 people, it's fine. Okay, so let's just think about all these things. And I do hope that with this little knowledge of CSS, this can help us to start taking a look at CSS online, check some of the powerful things that have been done with CSS, and see how we can use it in our project. So it will be good for you to do this assignment. Let's even see what you can come up with. It doesn't matter if you don't get it completely, just try it out. Because one thing in programming is when you learn something and you don't try it, it's as good as not learning it, because you will forget. And the day you now want to try it will be a problem. I personally, I can testify there are some things I've done years back that I can't even do again now. When I want to do it, I have to go and study again or refresh my memory. So it's always good to practice. Immediately you practice, it becomes part of you. And also some things that since I've been teaching this course, I've learned some things too. And I'm also learning from you guys. So that's how life is. So we try to learn from each other, but it's very important for you to practice. Very, very important. So at this point, if there are no more questions, I would say thank you very much for your time. For those that are patient enough to finish the course with me. I do hope that we'll see again soon. I don't know if this is working well for people connecting from Nigeria, but I believe that the time we are trying to work based on the time that our instructors have, because they are doing this for free, and most of them are on vacation. So normally they should be enjoying themselves right now, probably go to Spain, but because of Corona, everybody is in Sweden, you know. So anyway, it is well. We should take care of ourselves. So bye-bye for now. See us tomorrow morning.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.